Hi, and welcome to this ForNAV coffee break. My name is René Brummel. I'm a product specialist at ForNAV, and I will be your presenter today. As this coffee break is live, you can ask your questions via the GoToWebinar question window. We will answer them at the end of the coffee break. Today, we're going to demonstrate that with ForNAV you don't need to write lookup code. To do this, we will edit the ForNAV sales invoice and add currency information, a formatted address, and translate the unit of measure, all without writing a single line of AL code. All the techniques we will demonstrate today are valid for any ForNAV report in any extension. To demonstrate that with ForNAV you don't need to write lookup code, I'm going to use these steps. Prerequisites, what do I need to get going? In step 2, I will get data from the currency table. In step 3, I will format my addresses. In step 4, I will add translations to some fields. All without writing any lookup code. Let's start with the first step. Today I will be working in the Business Central Cloud Sandbox environment on Docker with the Business Central 2021 Wave 2 release. I have installed the ForNAV customizable report pack and have executed the step-by-step wizard from the assisted setup to get started. Of course, everything I do today is also available on the Business Central on-premise environment. I also have the ForNAV Designer installed on my PC. The ForNAV Designer can be downloaded from the ForNAV website. Getting currency information in Business Central is not that tricky. Unfortunately, when the currency is empty, I would need to go and find my local currency. That is two lookups I would need to write lookup code for. Fortunately, with ForNAV, we can get all our currency information without writing any code at all. So let's go and have a look. So for today, like I said, I'm working in a Business Central 2021 Wave 2 Docker release, which is at the moment of recording only a couple of days old. So I have my ForNAV reports. I'll be working in the ForNAV sales invoice today. I'll zoom in a little bit. I did prepare this a little bit. Because this is a sales invoice, I have unhooked my document header and I've unhooked my lines body from the master templates. Allows me to get started quicker. So what we normally do, what we need in a report, in an invoice anyway, my accountant says we do need our currency information. So if I send an invoice in euros or send an invoice in dollars, I need that information on my screen, on my invoice. So, of course, I can add my currency code from the field list in the header to my report. And let's add this. And if I now preview this with some invoices, so let's say I want to preview this with a dollar invoice, which is this one, you will find that the currency code contains the US dollar currency code, which is okay, that's exactly what I expected. But if I use a, let me see, I need to find an invoice in English. There we go, that one will do. So if I have an invoice in euros, that's the local currency in my database, then the currency code is empty, which is a bit annoying. So in order to deal with that, with ForNAV we have created field lookups, and these field lookups you can find in your field list as well. And these field lookups are lookups for data from related tables. So our currency code is added to our sales invoice when we're not working in the local currency. But we sometimes need stuff like the currency description or currency symbol. So let's grab the currency code from the field lookup table and let's have a look at the difference. Make this one green. Let's find a euro invoice again. And you will notice that whilst the currency code on the sales invoice header is empty because we're looking at a local currency, the currency code in the field lookup is filled. That's euro. ForNAV simply finds that the currency code is empty and then finds the local currency code from our setup. And in a US dollar foreign invoice, of course, my US dollar currency code is on the header and it's also in the field lookup. So that's great. Then of course sometimes we want the currency description or the currency symbol. Let's not add them as a table. Let's add them right here. And make them green as well. And there we go. ForNAV also finds the currency description. I'm working in a Dutch localized database at the moment, so my currency descriptions are in Dutch. And I also got the currency symbol, which is more useful than the currency description. There are many more field lookups available in every table in Business Central. When there's a table relation defined in Business Central, ForNAV will automatically add a lookup for those related fields. So even on custom tables, these automatic lookups still work. Now we may have to change the format for our addresses. You may have noticed that our invoice has all the addresses formatted in a specific format already. So let's go and have a look at how that's done and how we can change that. So I go back to ForNAV. And in ForNAV you will find that I have this address field, and this address field doesn't contain all of the fields for the address with a load of code in order to format it. It simply uses, if I open it in the JavaScript editor, you'll see it will find the header.fieldgroups.build-to-address. And if I look at the data set, for my header I have a group called field groups, and the field groups always gives us, for every address field group, it will give me a formatted address group. So I have the build to address, sell to address, and ship to address, and ForNAV will always find the field groups for all of the addresses. It will do that in customized tables as well, provided that the address is built in a specific format, because we need the address to, city, contact, etc. And ForNAV uses that to automatically format the addresses. So these field groups will be available everywhere, and that's great. If we preview the invoice, let's stick with our US dollar one. If I preview the invoice, you will notice that ForNAV automatically formats the address based on the information on my invoice. We have a weird comma here because there is no city in the address of School of Fine Art in the demo database that I'm using. But this is what ForNAV does automatically. Now if I want to change this, say if I want to change the address format for the United States, I can do that as well, because ForNAV finds the address formats automatically in the Business Central database. So I can open my country region table, and let's find the United States. And in this table, you will notice I have an address format, and I can change my address format to postcode and city, or city and postcode, or city and county and postcode, which is obviously something useful for the United States. Or I can simply grab a custom one, and in my country region custom address format, I can change, say, the format for city, country, postcode. And let's remove city altogether. And let's put postcode in front of county. Hit close twice. And preview the report again. And now you will notice that ForNAV formats the address differently. Now we have US, FL, and then the postcode, and then the county. So that's a great way of changing your address formats without writing any code at all either. Finally, ForNAV also does an automatic lookup for translation tables. On the invoice, for instance, we have a unit of measure and payment term fields. We want these to be translated automatically to the language that the report is printed in. So let's go and have a look. Back to ForNAV, preview the report. And if we zoom in, you will notice that my payment terms are in Dutch. It's lopen amount, which is current month in Dutch, which is a bit pointless if I email this or send this to a United States customer, because they probably don't know what this means. And the unit of measure now says stuks, which is pieces in Dutch. So let's see if we can translate these. Back to ForNAV. And in ForNAV, in the field lookups, whenever fields have translation tables, ForNAV will do an automatic lookup for those translations and automatically translate them. So for the unit of measure, we at the moment use the line.unit of measure code. But if I delete this and have a look at the line and find my unit of measure, you'll find I have a number of things for unit of measure. I have the unit of measure for the cross references, and the unit of measure code. Now the unit of measure code is the actual field that's on the table. That gives us the unit of measure code, which is the code with which the unit of measure is known in the database. But if I grab unit of measure instead, ForNAV will find the unit of measure description in the language that my report is printed in. So let's change this and hit OK and hit preview. And now my unit of measure says piece. And this little bit of magic happens automatically behind the screens. And what you need to do to set it all up, because obviously you do need some translations in your database. So let's look at the unit of measure table for stuks or pieces. In here I have a related unit translation. And in this translation you will notice I have a Danish translation, a German translation and an English translation. And ForNAV recognizes the invoice is printed in English and it will find the English translation automatically. And obviously we still have the payment terms. And for the payment terms, if we look at the field content, we have header.fieldlookups.paymentTerms descriptions. And if I look at the header and the field lookups in the payment terms description, we don't have any other fields that I can use for the payment terms descriptions. So I am right here. The only thing we don't have at the moment is a translation. And to do that, of course, once again, find the fields, find the table in Business Central, find my payment terms, I will find the lopen amount or current month, open my translations, and you will notice my translations are empty, so I'll just add my English translation. Leave that. Let's just run my report from here. And now my payment terms are in English. It now says current month because the invoice is printed in English. This works for any language that you can add in the Business Central database. So if you have customers in Germany, customers in the United States, customers in Denmark or in the Netherlands, you can add all of those translations to your Business Central translations tables, and ForNAV will find your unit of measures and payment terms automatically. So let's recap what we just did. We set out to demonstrate that with ForNAV you don't need to write any lookup code. We showed this by first finding the currency code, description and symbol automatically, even when the report is printed in the local currency. Then we found that ForNAV automatically formats our addresses. Finally, we saw that ForNAV will find translations for things like unit of measure and payment terms. The great thing about ForNAV is that it lets us do all of these things without having to write a single line of code. Thank you for listening to me so far. I see we don't have any questions at the moment, so I'll wrap up this coffee break. If you do have any questions, you can still type them in the question window, and I will try to answer them before we close this webinar. If you want to know more about ForNAV, or if you want to download the ForNAV Designer and Converter, please visit our website. If you want to install ForNAV in Business Central Cloud, please visit the Microsoft App Stores. You can watch more videos about ForNAV on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions about ForNAV, please email them to support@fornav.com. For a full list of upcoming and recorded coffee breaks, you can visit fornav.com/coffeebreak. With that, thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.